Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Lord of the People. I set off a frenzy of plant alienation. Chapter 61. What is Boss Susie doing? Seeing Susie take out a bronze sign, someone couldn't help asking curiously. I don't know. Anyway, if any weird things happen to Mr. Susie, I won't feel anything strange. I have learned lip language. Big brother said, he wants to kill God. Suddenly, a student said tremblingly. Wen Yan. The square of Qingyan Middle School is quiet. People stared at Susie in the video with wide eyes. What? Killing God? Boss Susie wants to kill God. Are you kidding me? If it is said that the opposite is the lower God, I will reluctantly believe it, but the opposite is the upper God. Shouldn't Mr. Susie try to find a way to escape now? Everyone was shocked by the behavior of 507 Susie. In this age of national lords, mortals kill gods in the vast history of mankind. Happens naturally. But that's just the indigenous gods in the cosmic sea. The kind of indigenous gods with little power, and some even couldn't beat the Lord's arms. But who is Susie facing? That is the overlord of the universe sea, the upper god of the Zerg race. The two are not on the same level at all, are they? Now Susie says, he wants to kill a Zerg high god. Everyone thought this was a ridiculous joke, like an ant saying it wanted to kill an elephant. Make them feel ridiculous. Void. This kid can't beat his brain. Lu Ruyan looked at Susie's appearance in the mirror, wishing to slap him on the back of the head. Now the upper god can't hit you. If you don't hurry up and run, why are you still in the ink? She really wanted to grab Susie's ear. Let him see clearly. That is the upper god. Not a cat or a dog. Hee. Susie is so awesome, you can beat the nasty bugs. Xiao Qingluan waved her small fist and cheered for Susie from a distance. That's how confident you are. Snapped. There was another melon collapse on the back of the head, and Qingqing hugged his head and moaned. You little girl dare to talk nonsense again, be careful that I will hang you up and beat you. Willow fluttering head full of black lines. What time is it? Still booing here. Either she, Lu Piao, was slack at ordinary times, or the little girl thought she couldn't lift a knife anymore. What if? I think Susie is very confident. Xiao Wanqing was dissatisfied. She pouted and retorted. She just supports Susie unconditionally. No. Lu Piao glanced at Lu Ruyan, and the words came to her lips, but she didn't say them. But in my heart I said, how can there be so many contingencies, if there are contingencies? So what if both of you sisters marry him? The future of such people is limitless. Xiao Wanqing remained silent, but she knew Susie. He never fought unprepared. He is not an arrogant person, let alone a fool. So Susie must have confidence. But she doesn't know what Susie's confidence is. Until she saw Susie lift up the bronze token in his hand. She saw the two ancient seal characters engraved on it. She learned, so she knew. Those two words are Godfall. ... Human race, do you think you want to fight me with a token? Ha. This is the biggest joke I've ever heard. Nasta laughed wildly, and the sound shattered an unknown number of planets. Although he didn't know what method was used by the ant-like human race on the opposite side, so that even he couldn't attack Susie half a point. But he found the human race can't move half a point. He has enough patience to wait. As for the quaint token in Susie's hand, he doesn't care at all. I have never heard that one piece and two rows can fight against a high god. Hey, the joke is not a joke, you will know later. Susie sneered. Hart said, laugh, when you cry later. After all, a message appeared in front of Susie. Open black lens bracket. Do you use Godfall? Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Whether close black lens bracket. Yes. Susie nodded without hesitation. After all, the token turned into a faint fluorescent light and dissipated in Susie's hand. See tokens dissipate. For some reason, Nasta suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart. But this premonition was only fleeting, and he couldn't explain it clearly. Just take it as an illusion. Blue Star has a will. All mankind knows. But Blue Star's will has been sleeping all year round. Only when the momentum of the human race is in turmoil and facing a huge turning point will they wake up. The tone said that there are 10 supreme beings in the human race. Rather 11. Now that the human race has developed for hundreds of millions of years. The strength of Blue Star's will has already surpassed everything and reached the top. Even stronger than the average Supreme. No one has seen Blue Star's will shot. It is said that everyone who saw it died. Suddenly, Blue Star's top 10 Supremes Chi-Chi opened their eyes and looked towards the sky. Above the sky, a huge golden pupil gradually condenses, its 0.6 seems to cover the entire sky. The golden eyes were majestic and sacred, but without the slightest emotion. Violet gold thunderbolts flickered in his eyes, possessing a prestige of destroying heaven and earth. Blue Star's will has awakened. Why did you wake up at this time? Could it be that our human race is facing a huge disaster? Who awakened Blue Star's will? One by one the Supreme was awakened, and one by one spiritual thoughts collided and rubbed in the air, but they didn't get any useful information. No one knows why Blue Star's will suddenly awakened. But the next moment, a beam of light composed of countless world-destroying thunderclaps emitted from those eyes. In an instant, the Blue Star space was broken. Blast into unknown territory. Wrong. In the endless void, Nasta comes from the vigilance deep in the soul. Reminds him of a long-lost feeling. That was the sense of crisis of death that existed thousands of years ago before becoming a god. This feeling made his hair stand on his head, and his mind was disturbed. Human race, what is your sign? Only then did Nasta look at the human lord standing in the void, who seemed to be determined to eat him. He suddenly remembered the sign in the hands of the human lord, and immediately asked Suzy. You guess. Suzy smiled, revealing a mouthful of snow-white teeth. I guess your sister. Nasta wanted to grab him, but immediately remembered that his attack was useless. Suddenly, the uneasiness in Nasta's heart was even stronger. He can't wait any longer. He felt that he might have been tricked by that bitch Irina this time. Where is this a human lord who has just awakened? That is to say, it was disguised by a god king, and he believed 06. Irina, I feel something is wrong, I have to go. You can complete this task by yourself. Nasta couldn't ignore the uneasiness in his heart. Just in case, he wants to evacuate and return to the Zerg. In deep space, Irina is fighting Wu Qingying. Every time the two fight, countless worlds will be born and died around them. Suddenly received a message from Nasta. Irina was so angry in her heart, but she didn't notice it for a while. She was slashed in the chest by Wu Qingying's sword. Irina was hit hard in an instant. Puff. Irina spat out a mouthful of blood, and distanced herself from Wu Qingying. Trash. A mortal can't kill it, I've never seen such a trash Zerg. Now it's even more about running away. Irina spit out a mouthful of blood again angrily. Nasta, if you dare to leave, I will definitely report to the Zerg to sue you for running away. Irina sent a message to Nasta, with threats in her words. Nasta received a message from Irina. His face struggled a bit. But the increasingly intense sense of crisis made him dare not stay any longer. Seeing this scene, Irina was furious, but she was entangled by Wu Qingying and couldn't stop her. Hey, as expected of the Zerg race, they are so greedy for life and afraid of death. Wu Qingying mocked with a sneer. Zerg is this virtue. Shameless and cowardly. Nowadays, facing a rookie lord of their human race, they didn't dare to fight openly. If Nasta knew Wu Qingying's thoughts, he would definitely be laughed at. Will the new lord of your family take the resurrection props to participate in the trial? Can the new lord of your family invalidate the attack of the upper gods? The new lord of your family can make him feel the crisis of life and death that he has not encountered in tens of millions of years. Nasta even suspects this is a bureau arranged by the human race against him. And that human lord was just a bait. Behind him was the top power of the human race, and in an inexplicable way, he shot for him and resisted his attack. Thinking about it this way, the Nasta crisis is even worse. Absolutely so. Even Irina has been judged. Otherwise, how could she let me, a high god, personally deal with a new lord? Nasta suddenly panicked, without the slightest hesitation. Immediately turned around and ran desperately towards the Zerg territory. This scene, all the people watching the battlefield could not help being silent. High god is gone. Why is the upper god running away? And Suzy was unharmed. Is there something wrong with that? Some people even suspected that it was a dream, and slapped themselves in the face twice. It turned out to be true. This Lu Ruyan, Xiao Wanqing, and Lu Piaopiao looked at the Zerg giant leaving at the speed of light, not knowing what happened for a while. Look, let me just tell you, Mom, your son-in-law is an auspicious man, so how could he die so early? No, even the superior Shendu has to run away. This scene made Xiao Qingluan excited, and his waist was thin. What son-in-law? Lu Ruyan suddenly heard something and asked with a smile. That's right, me and my sister. Before Xiao Qingluan finished speaking, Lu Piaopiao on the side directly covered Xiao Qingluan's mouth. At the same time, the other hand couldn't stop patting Xiao Qingluan's buttocks. It's okay, it's okay. This kid's brain has been a little abnormal since he was a child, and he likes to talk nonsense. Don't worry about it. Lu Piaopiao explained with a smile. While talking, the hand that smacked Xiao Qingluan's butt didn't show any intention of stopping. Xiao Qingluan was beaten with tears in her eyes, and looked at her sister, wanting her to intercede for her. But Xiao Wanqing didn't seem to see it, staring at Suzy, motionless. But if you observe carefully, you will find that the roots of her ears have become red. Obviously, she knew what her sister Xiao Qingluan was talking about. Lu Ruyan was a little puzzled, but she also understood that they didn't want to say it, and kept it in her heart. At the same time, in the mirror image, a gigantic beam of endless thunder break the space and come across the border from endless distant places. On top of Suzy's head, he transformed into a world-destroying I-900 composed of countless thunderbolts. Destroy. Suzy pointed to the fleeing Nasta. Instantly, the world-exterminating eye blasted out a thunderbolt and went straight to Nasta. This moment, time and space have lost their meaning. Thousands of light years away. Pulled in an instant. Nasta looked back, not even having time to think. The divine thunder with the aura of destroying the world wiped out little by little. Turned into a spot of light. Dissipated in the thunder of the gods. A Zerg giant high god who traversed the Starsea couldn't survive even a second. At the moment when the thunder that destroys the world descends, will die completely. Broken souls, no hope of resurrection. In the endless void, suddenly became quiet again. All those who watched all this were silent at the moment. Because the final result turned out to be the death of the upper god. There is not even scum left of the dead. I said it all, you can't bear it. Suzy snorted coldly and ignored it. Nasta is dead. His revenge has been temporarily avenged. He also needs to revive the goblin, Xiaoju and his cannons as soon as possible. Suzy left and disappeared. However, the fall of the high god caused an uproar among countless races. Dead, dead. In the deep space, Irina's eyes widened, she was a little stunned for a moment, and she couldn't believe it. What was that just now? Just a flash of light. A high god of the same level as her died without the slightest resistance. It's a conspiracy. A conspiracy against me. Irina recalled the whole incident. Starting from discovering that the human lord is a different kind. The Zerg began to die one by one. Until just now. The human race picture is poor. Using his background, he killed a Zerg high god giant. Moreover, it is killed from the root, and there is no possibility of resurrection. The human race is the biggest beneficiary of this battle. Maybe the only thing they didn't expect. I'll call on Nasta, another Zerg overlord. Otherwise, it is very likely that the one who is wiped out now is himself. Thought everything through. Irina's face was full of joy. When watching Wu Qingying again, the gaze has completely changed. Obviously, to say who is most likely to be in the layout of the human race. There is no doubt that it is Wu Qingying. They have been fighting for thousands of years, and the hatred between the two sides has long been endless. Before, she thought that Wu Qingying was just a simple-minded woman with well-developed limbs. But what happened today told her. All of this was just an illusion deliberately released by the other party to confuse her. The other party is actually a full-fledged scheming queen. Wu Qingying, I didn't expect you to play such a big game of chess, let me misunderstand you from the beginning. Irina sneered. Now that she knew about Wu Qingying's ugly face, how could she still be fooled? Now maybe secretly there is a strong human race of the same level, who is preparing to attack her. So without saying a word, she just disappeared in a flash. When she left, she took a deep look at Wu Qingying, she would definitely come back for revenge. Wu Qingying. Diaresis. What chess? What misunderstanding? What is that bitch Irina saying? Unable to figure it out, Wu Qingying shook her head and stopped thinking about it. She has always been like this. If she can't figure it out, she keeps silent, and others think she understands. In this way, not only can you relax a lot, but you can also confuse the enemy. It seems that Irina, that stinky bitch, has made up a lot of brains. The key is, this time, I won again. Wu Qingying waved her fist. A trace of excitement flashed across her face. Really, she still likes fighting the most, and managing territories is not her strong point at all. It's time to find that brat. Wu Qingying is very curious about Suzy at this time. A person who has not yet become a god can actually make the attack of the upper god ineffective against him. This heaven-defying ability. Simply invincible. Could this be his awakened talent? Wu Qingying's real name expressed envy. In addition to being relatively short-lived, the alien lord's talent is really top-notch. But also because of this. They are the easiest to be missed, and they often don't live for too long. Open black lens bracket natural collar close black lens bracket. Suzy looked at the dilapidated scene around him, clenched his fists and looked stern. He's still not strong enough. Become a god. Must become a god. If you don't become a god, you're just an ant after all. Suzy swears. He will never allow what happened today to repeat itself. Do you want to consume 10 million source crystals and 300,000 source points to restore the territory in all buildings? Standing under the world tree, a reminder came from Suzy's eyes. It's almost 1/3 of all my source crystals and source points. The next day is really big. Suzy felt a little uncomfortable. After clearing the 7th level, he got 30 million source crystals and 1 million source points. Restoring the territory this time will cost a full third. Even for Suzy, it was enough to hurt his muscles. Sighing, Suzy chose to agree. Next moment, the 10 million source crystals and 300,000 source points in the inventory disappeared directly. At the same time, natural collar springs of gold began to emerge from the ground. Jingquan passed by. The earth is full of exotic flowers and plants again, fragrant and colorful. The earth is repaired. The distance between the cracks begins to shrink. It was as if there was a hand that wiped away the scars on the earth, and quickly recovered completely. Broken buildings with only their foundations left. Start bottom up, piece by piece recovery. Suddenly, spiritual spring is once again filled with clear spiritual water full of spirituality. Now this spiritual spring is a 7th order product, and its value is extremely precious. Watching Pool's dragon head and phoenix beak began to flow into the steaming hot spring water again. Fish pond has also been restored, and the pond is full of goldfish swimming around again. When I am free, Suzy decided to come and have fun. Next time I will never fly. Fan Tower once again revived. The word, Fan Tower, on the plaque in front of the door is lifelike. The 7-story fan building has gathered all the delicacies below the 7th level of the heavens, and it is destined to be crowded with people in the future. In the spring eyes in the wine pond, there are layers of fine nectar and jade liquid. Each layer is thicker and richer, and the sun and the moon are stronger than each other. The aroma of wine lingered for 3 days, but after just smelling it, I felt a little drunk. Secret garden of the gods, in which all kinds of exotic flowers and plants are competing to bloom, extremely gorgeous, and many extinct flowers in the outside world, bloom again here. In the center of the secret garden, there are 7 bottles of miracle perfume lying there, Wang Laohao constantly receiving drops of perfume condensed from the garden. Every drop of this kind of perfume is full of fatal temptation for girls who love beauty. In Lingtian, the planted dragon tooth rice and wolfberry seeds have germinated and grown half-meter-high leaves. It would not take long to harvest 10 batches of high-quality imperial spirit plants. The last, Hall of Valor, still stands there, solemn and solemn. Explosive flame tower, arrow tower, steel city wall, bow and crossbow tower, and finally, lay tower. All of them were restored to their original state, glowing with a different kind of golden light. Seeing that his territory was restored to its original state again, Suzy was very excited, with a smile on his face. After restoring the territory and buildings, it's time to revive the heroes and units. Quote. Little fairy, don't worry, the master will revive you right away. Suzy speeded up and rushed to the Hall of Heroes. Open black lens bracket. Hall of Valor. Close black lens bracket. Type: Rule Department. Quality: Legend. Grade: 88. Resurrection restriction: Tier 9. Function: Resurrection of heroes, resurrection of arms. Introduction: No one knows which one will come first, accident or tomorrow, but with it, no longer worry about accidents. The rule of the Hall of Valor is that as long as the source crystals are consumed, the heroes and units to which they belong can be revived. Just in case, Suzy has promoted the territory in all arms to rank 9. Do you want to consume 8 million source crystals and resurrect 2000 P cannons? Suzy took a look. About 1 P cannon needs to consume 4000 source crystals. No doubt. It's totally worth it. The value of each tier 6 P cannon to him is much more than that. Without hesitation, Suzy exchanged directly. Next moment. On the huge central array of the Hall of Valor, the light flickered, incomparable. The sound of protection came from the ancient priests, and the sound of welcoming souls permeated the Hall of Valor. Subsequently, the bodies of P cannons condensed in the light. 10, 100, 1000, 2000, a total of 2000 P 173 cannons were condensed from the Hall of Valor at this moment. Do beep, beep beep, beep beep. The P cannons made sounds one by one, and looked around excitedly, but they didn't expect them to come alive. Okay, let's all go out, and we have to resurrect other people. Suzy drove them all away. Each P cannon, with feet composed of 8 giant leaves. Walking up the steel city wall, step by step, he acted as a tireless guard again, protecting the safety of the natural caller. 8th step. Suzy was pleasantly surprised. At the end of this battle, all the 2000 units have been promoted to the 8th rank. 2080 tier P cannon. Suzy didn't know how terrifying their power would be. I don't know who will be lucky enough to experience their terrible power. Xiaoju, come back. Suzy said. 20,000 source crystals dissipated. The same light as before enveloped the entire Hall of Valor. Next moment, Xiaoju's figure stepped out of the light, and immediately came in front of Suzy, agged. Now, Suzy found that Xiaoju now has 8 leaves. Obviously, she gained a lot in the final battle. A set of data emerges in front of us. Open black lens bracket 9 leaf sword grass. Close black lens bracket. Race: Plant. Quality: Supreme. Grade: 78. Bloodline: 9 leaf sword grass. Talent: Practice the sword to become stronger. Physique: 80 million. Agility: 82 million. Spirit: 88 million. Skills: Sword Shadow, Sword Drawing, Sword Ju, Crosscut, Continuous Cut, 7 Tribulations. Sword Technique, Zitting. Loyalty: 100% permanent. Introduction: Reborn, I will work harder to practice sword. Emma Zerg Mother Queen at the 8th level of abuse. Suzy couldn't help admiring. Xiaoju has 3 attributes. The lowest physique is 80 million, and the highest spirit is 88 million. Compared with her, Queen Emma's attributes of more than 30 million are completely incomparable. As expected of a superior, the attribute exploded. Suzy is extremely satisfied with Xiaoju. Open black lens bracket Lord, thank you for resurrecting me. I will work hard to practice my sword. Next time I meet that enemy, I will kill him. Close black lens bracket. During the reminder, Xiaoju said murderously. He is dead. Suzy smiled and shook his head. Okay, Lord, I am going to practice swords, I will protect you next time. Never let you get hurt again. Close black lens bracket. Xiaoju was a little disappointed that he couldn't kill that powerful enemy himself, but he still made a firm promise. She is the hero summoned by Suzy, and she is supposed to protect Suzy from harm, but she has no power to resist when the enemy makes a move. It was a disgrace to her. She will become stronger. Go go. Suzy waved to him. Phew, it's finally time for the little elf. Suzy directly took out 500 source crystals to revive the goblin. A red light glows in the array. Soon, the goblin walked out of the formation. Owner. The moment the little fairy saw Suzy, her beautiful eyes flickered, and then she rushed directly into Suzy's arms at a speed of sprinting 100 meters. 2 arms hugged Suzy's neck tightly, and a pair of slender white thighs were crossed around Suzy's waist. The whole figure hangs on Suzy like an octopus. Master, master. The goblin sniffed Suzy's scent greedily, fearing that she would never smell it again. Okay, okay. Susie also felt delighted when he saw the little goblin. He patted her buttocks, trying to take her off his body. But the little goblin was unwilling. Master, let me hug you for a while. The little fairy said coquettishly. Susie had no choice but to give up. Suddenly, the goblin stretched her mouth to Susie's ear, and said softly, Master, can I sleep with you tonight? Susie thought that the little goblin had just been resurrected and was a little scared, so she agreed. See Susie nodding. A red light flashed in the little goblin's red eyes. Tonight. Just tonight. Must eat the master. Can't wait any longer. She also wants to become stronger. She doesn't want to be separated from Susie again. So, squeeze the master. Can become stronger. The little fairy swore in her heart. Obviously this death hit her hard. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, there were bursts of pea cannon explosions outside the territory. Susie's complexion changed. Who's attacking the territory? The goblin also quickly got off Susie. Then follow Susie to the Steel City wall. I saw 2,000 pea cannons violently bombarding the figure in the sky. But the beautiful figure in the starry sky, not only unscathed, he even took all the bombs of the pea cannon and played them around. See Susie come out. The figure in the sky stopped playing and said to Susie. Susie, I'm Vermilion Bird Lord Wu Qingying, your unit is interesting. I'm getting more and more interested in you. Steel walls. Susie couldn't help but twitched his mouth when he saw the beautiful woman who could hold the neutron bomb of the 8th stage pea cannon in her hand and play with it at will. There is no doubt that this is a god, and its rank is very high. Why is there another god? Did he clash with the gods today, or else the mysterious gods would come one after another today? Identification. Susie's eyes flashed, and a set of information appeared. Open black lens bracket dance and shadow close black lens bracket. Race. Human. Level. High God. Quality. Legend. Constitution. Agile. Spirit. Introduction. Look no further, little doll. See the introduction. Susie raised his head suddenly, and saw Wu Qingying looking at him with a smile, not a smile. Susie immediately knew that his identification had been discovered. Student Susie, remember, don't judge other people's information at will, otherwise it will be regarded as a provocation. Wu Qingying held her breast in one hand, and swung her index finger from side to side. Thank you for reminding Susie vigilance. In the future, appraisal cannot be used casually, at least not for people who are too strong compared to themselves. I know you have a lot of doubts in your heart now, but now all the problems are solved. Seeing the vigilance in Susie's eyes, Wu Qingying waved her hand and threw something to Susie. Because you are the pride of the human race, there should be someone protecting you and protecting you, but I never thought that the other party would attack you without even going through the trial. So this time it's the lack of protection from the higher-ups of the human race, and this is your compensation. Susie took it and took a closer look. This is a perfect prismatic crystal exuding colorful divine light. Open black lens bracket high godhead close black lens bracket. Quality. Legend. Level. High God. Attributes. Insect beast poison. Introduction. A complete godhead enough to drive a god crazy can create at least one middle god. After reading it, Susie's pupils shrank, his expression was shocked, and his breath became short of breath. This turned out to be a complete high god godhead. Godhead is the authority of the gods. The Lord wants to become a god. In addition to the need to turn the territory into a god, you must also obtain a godhead that matches your own Lord template. For example, someone awakened the Zerg template. Then he had to find a Zerg godhead that could be integrated with the Zerg template. Otherwise, it will be rejected by the Zerg template. In the process of becoming a god, the body dies and the Tao disappears. This leads to, if a human lord wants to become a god, he must first destroy a god to obtain his godhead. So, to become a god, countless 9th rank lords headed to the cosmic sea one after another, with the purpose of hunting down the indigenous gods and obtaining their godheads. Because their godheads are the easiest to obtain compared to Zerg, demon race and other higher races. After all, some indigenous gods are not even comparable to human lords of the 7th or 8th rank. Certainly, obtaining the godhead of others is just a shortcut for ordinary lords. They have to stop at the level of godhead they have obtained all their lives. Unless you get a stronger godhead. But almost impossible. Talented monsters with stronger aspirations will choose the path that best suits their godhead, so that you can go further on your own path. But this cannot conceal the value of a high god godhead. Guaranteed to cultivate a mid-god, with a bit of luck, it is not impossible to be promoted to a high god. Such a godhead, it is enough to make countless of them who have been in the middle gods for countless years go crazy. Not everyone can become a high god, otherwise the high god would not be so precious. It is the achievement of the middle god. They have stumped batch after batch of so-called geniuses and monsters. Otherwise, how could the four great gods in Qinghai City be the most common lower gods? There are many ways to become a god, but those who can go further on the road to becoming a god. But there is only one way to condense one's own godhead. The rest are heretics, with a limited future and subject to various constraints. Naturally, Suzy would not choose to fuse this godhead. Not only does he not match this godhead, what's more, his future will never stop at the middle god or the upper god. With the world tree as the core of the Lord, climb to the top. It's only a matter of time. Carefully put away the high god godhead and reserve it for other uses in the future. Suzy looked at Wu Qingying again. This time, his eyes were no longer so vigilant. To be able to give the high god godhead to himself, at least he is not a treacherous and evil person. High god godhead, I don't have many such good things. I really want it. In fact, Wu Qingying's heart is bleeding, and she is very reluctant to part with the high god's divinity. Such a good thing is enough to exchange for shocking resources, which will help her become a god king. But this is the Zerg godhead that Suzy killed, the Supreme himself condensed. Give her to Suzy. How dare she covet? Keep your godhead in good condition. Don't be discovered by others, otherwise you probably won't be able to keep it. Although Wu Qingying is greedy for Suzy's godhead, she won't attack him. On the one hand, he was not sure, after all, he killed a high god who was at the same level as her. The second is her own pride. Suzy is a genius, so why not? She has reached this height for thousands of years, her talent and luck are unparalleled in the world. There is no godhead, but the time to become a god king is a little later. Harmless. Yes. Suzy nodded. It is true that outsiders should not know. Otherwise, he will never have peace. Don't blame the human race for not helping. In fact, I have been fighting with another Zerg high god in the deep dimension, but I didn't expect the Zerg to send two high gods. And the human race has already avenged you. Wu Qingying then briefly told Suzy what happened. Suzy was in awe, speechless towards the Zerg race. The Zerg actually dispatched two high gods, how shameless. And just when he upgraded and restored the territory, the human race actually sent a supreme leader to negotiate with the Zerg race in person. At the cost of destroying several universes of the Zerg. Force the Zerg to sign a peace agreement. Guaranteed not to send strong men to attack and kill the geniuses of the race. This moved Suzy very much. 0. Supreme. It is a supreme honor to actually do it yourself. Suzy silently memorized the name of that supreme person, and there may be a chance to meet in the future. But you're in trouble, too. Suddenly, Wu Qingying said with a smile to Suzy. There was some gloating in her eyes. Suzy shook his head, thinking he was wrong. How could the upper god be so childish? What trouble? You see, your news was made public by the Zerg. At the same time, a reward was issued to you. Wu Qingying sent the message to Suzy. Suzy took a look, and his face turned black. Human Suzy, the lord of the plant department, is a different kind of lord of the human race once in tens of millions of years. Devouring its territory can obtain its talent, which can help all races quickly break through to become gods, and even has great help in breaking through to god kings. If someone catches him, Zerg is willing to exchange all the resources of a middle god. Publisher, Zerg High God Irina, remarks, personal test. Who is this Irina? I want to kill her. Suzy clenched his fists, his eyes were shining brightly, and his breathing was uneven. What she said about Suzy is comparable to the legendary Tang monk meat. This is enough to put Suzy in countless dangers. Don't worry, the Supreme has already ordered that all gods are forbidden to take action against the new lord. So your danger is mainly the arrogance of all races. Seeing Suzy's gloomy face, Wu Qingying explained. For you, all races are vying to submit applications to my human race to participate in the Battle of Xiaoju Tianzhou, and even sent many seed-level geniuses from all races to hunt and kill you. Suzy's face became slightly relaxed when he heard this. When my peers compete, I am not inferior to anyone. A trace of ferocity flashed in Suzy's eyes, and he said calmly. Who hunts who is not sure. It just so happens that he lacks a source. These alien races are nothing more than a group of resources. Okay, this is the ambition that I, the pride of the human race, should have. Isn't it just a group of crooked melons and split dates? Back then, I fought from east to west, from south to north in the hegemony competition. Let their blood flow into a river, and they will never dare to trouble me again. Seeing that Suzy was full of confidence, Wu Qingying couldn't help but nodded. Suzy is very angry with her. Talented, not proud. He is also quite handsome, looking seductive and comfortable. Even in the face of the upper gods, he can be neither humble nor overbearing, calm and composed. Such a person is destined to become a strong man. Suddenly, like remembering something, Wu Qingying asked Suzy. Suzy, are you willing to be my disciple? What happened today? It also made her realize that personal power is limited after all. Although she thinks she is invincible, she will eventually encounter difficulties. Because of his bold temperament, he hopes to do things according to his preferences. So she offended many, 750. That's why no one came to help her today. But she is too lazy to flirt with those old antiques, she can't play in the circle of those people. Then she creates her own circle. Disciple. Suzy was taken aback when he heard this. That's right, I am Lord Vermilion Bird's eldest disciple. Wu Qingying nodded proudly and said. She hasn't confiscated her disciples yet. If Suzy agrees, then he will be her first disciple. From then on, the two shared weal and woe, and they agreed to the outside world. I agree. Suzy thought for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Lord Vermilion Bird. Suzy grew up listening to her legendary stories. He also came from an ordinary family, but has become a high god for thousands of years. It is even about to hit the God King realm. No doubt. She is a top evildoer, but also a top powerhouse. If she openly said to accept disciples, I'm afraid that someone who wants to be her apprentice can lead Noda's Vermilion Bird around. Not to mention that the master is still a top beauty. It is also very seductive to look at. Suzy naturally has no reason to disagree. With such a master to follow, countless troubles can be saved. Comprehensive consideration. The advantages of apprenticeship outweigh the disadvantages. Suzy chose to agree. Good, good, good. Wu Qingying was overjoyed and went out for a trip. Not only did he win against that bitch Irina, but he also received a cute and handsome apprentice. Well worth the trip. The disciple pays homage to the master. Suzy flew out of the territory, came to Wu Qingying, and wanted to pay homage to her teacher. No need. Wu Qingying reaches out to help Suzy up. But he felt empty with one hand, and passed directly through Suzy's body. Huh, it's really amazing. Wu Qingying amazed. Even she can't even touch Suzy, this disciple is really amazing. But she still waved to Suzy. Wait until you return from the little pig contest, and then start a formal apprenticeship. I don't pay much attention to these rules, so we don't have to see outsiders. Yes, master. Suzy is naturally so happy. This is a token for you. It represents your identity. Wu Qingying said, and handed Suzy a token. Suzy took it. Engraved on it is a lifelike vermilion bird that seems to be flying to the 9 heavens. With this token, in the collar of Vermilion Bird, no one will dare to provoke you. If you encounter trouble, directly report the teacher's name. Whoever doesn't show face, I will kill him. Wu Qingying waved her big hand and said domineeringly. Obviously, her mother showed the majesty of the teacher. Suzy put away the token and bowed to Wu Qingying. Thank you, master. With this token, the relationship between their master and apprentice was settled. Okay, let me go in and see your territory. Wu Qingying said curiously. Standing outside the territory, she can only see the people on the city wall, but she is also very curious about what it looks like in Suzy's territory. Next time for sure. Suzy declined. Some things can't be messed around with. Hey, I dare not let the teacher see it. Do you hide your beauty in the golden house inside? Wu Qingying asked with a half smile. talking. I also looked at the goblin on the city wall. Even the eyes of her high god couldn't find the slightest flaw in her. His appearance is overwhelming, not like the world, but like a gift from heaven. A pair of graceful figure, even compared with her, is not too much. This kid is so lucky. Wu Qingying didn't mind anything. As long as Suzy doesn't meet a scumbag who loves another. She doesn't care. After all, he is still young, and apart from upgrading the territory, that's all he thinks about all day long. No, I'm afraid that the things inside will scare you. Suzy shook his head in embarrassment. This master is surprisingly approachable. But in his domain, almost all of the legendary buildings are high gods, and Yin's doesn't think they can match him in architecture. Not to mention the world tree in the territory. That's Suzy's biggest secret. Even teachers can't go in. Unless you are completely your own. Forget it, let's do it next time we have a chance. Seeing that the apprentice was a little reluctant, Wu Qingying was fine. After all, a person's territory belongs to personal privacy. There is not enough trust between them, and it will be fine after a long time. For God, the least valuable thing is time. Cancel your status, and I will take you back to Vermilion Bird. Now because of this incident, the Xiaozhu Tianjiao battle may have to be postponed for 2 days. Wu Qingying said with emotion. As a disciple, I have first-class ability to cause trouble. But not to be jealous, is a mediocrity. Which god didn't come out of a pile of bones? Although she didn't provoke the upper gods to attack back then, she still killed a lot of people. Now it's her apprentice's turn. Suzy nodded and told the little fairy about the news. Then he was dragged by Wu Qingying to travel directly through time and space. Qinghai City, Qingyan Middle School. A group of people talking and full of curiosity. The moment the principal's image appeared in the eye of extermination, it was shattered by the supreme majesty. Even because of this, the principal has been seriously injured. What happened in the end? Why did it get to the most critical moment, and I couldn't see it anymore? I don't know. What is that huge thunder eye? Why do I have a kind feeling? Who can tell me the final result? What happened to Suzy Tianjiao? I think there is a high probability that Suzy Tianjiao killed the Zerg High God with that giant eye. 5.6. How is it possible? That is the upper god. How could he die so easily? Void. Lu Ruyan looked worried, not knowing what the outcome would be. How about I try it now? Lu Piao whispered. After all, it has been so long, the battle should have ended. No need, Mom, who do you think that is? Suddenly, Xiao Qingluan jumped up, took Xiao Wanqing's hand with one hand, and pointed to the sky with the other and said excitedly. Everyone heard the words and looked up. Then I saw a stunning beauty appearing on Qingyan Square holding a handsome young man by the hand. Suzy. The three were pleasantly surprised, and smiles appeared on their faces instantly. Suddenly, Lu Piao noticed the peerless beauty Suzy was holding. Suddenly the smile on his face disappeared. Is that Suzy? Damn it, Suzy is back. The pride of our Qingyan Middle School. My idol. He is so handsome, but who is beside her? It's over. Do I have no chance with Suzy? Why do I feel so familiar? I seem to have seen it somewhere. Stop kidding. You're the only one who's ever seen it. The crowd shouted excitedly, feeling excited about the two figures that suddenly appeared in the sky. A man and a woman. The man is very handsome, and the woman is all over the country, dressed in red, extremely beautiful. Your popularity is quite high. Looking at the roaring crowd below, Wu Qingying smiled, smiling all over the city. If this scene is seen by those who have been following Wu Qingying all year round, they will definitely widen their eyes in surprise. Because Wu Qingying's image to outsiders is always aloof, almost no one has ever seen her smile. Neither did I. Suzy naturally also saw the crowd below, frowned slightly. He didn't like this lively scene. Otherwise, it will not be outside the class. Then let's go. Let's change to a quiet place. Wu Qingying also doesn't like to be lively. Just thought Suzy wanted to come here. After all, he can be regarded as returning to his hometown now, and won the 3rd place in the Tianjiao list. Naturally likes to show off. Who knows that my disciple 06 is really not interested in it? Suzy nodded and looked around. He didn't find the figure he wanted in the crowd. Then it doesn't matter to him here. Hey, someone is here. Suddenly, Wu Qingying frowned. Next moment, Two figures, one large and one small, appeared in front of them. Dan Chusheng, the mayor of Qinghai City, pays his respects to His Majesty. My subordinate Wu Sanlang, the principal of Qingyan Middle School in Qinghai City, pays his respects to His Majesty. As soon as they appeared, the two knelt down at Wu Qingcheng's feet. All of a sudden, the scene was silent, and a needle could be heard. Everyone held their breath, not daring to say anything. Some people are even thinking about whether they said something wrong just now. Fear of being punished. When Lu Piao heard the words, her face changed drastically in fright, and she quickly removed the hidden barrier. Quickly rushed to Wu Qingcheng, quickly bowed down on one knee. Lu Piao, pay my respects to your majesty. Wu Qingying glanced at Su Zi from the corner of her eye. Ri Shuang seemed to be talking. See, this is the majesty of the high god. Su Zi was speechless, but in his heart he valued strength more and more. The majestic principal in the past and the mayor who had never seen before were placed at his feet. Of the four gods in Qinghai City, there are now three. Su Zi knows. All of this was brought about by Wu Qingying's strength. High god. To deal with ordinary gods, they can be destroyed with a flick of a finger. Well, this is my new apprentice Su Zi. From now on you will see him as if you were seeing me. Wu Qingying was very indifferent to them, with a strong majesty on her body, not at all as appropriate as when she was talking to Su Zi. Yes, I will see your highness. X3. The three of them were horrified, and immediately bowed their hands to Su Zi. The Lord of Vermilion Bird has accepted his disciples. This is a big deal for the entire Vermilion Bird collar. They can even predict tomorrow's headlines. Lu Piao looked into Su Zi's eyes. Mixed feelings. Before Xiao Qingluan thought that the two sisters married him alone, she still thought it was ridiculous. But now she feels that even if the two of them back up, Su Zi doesn't necessarily want it. Who would have thought? Su Zi would be valued by His Royal Highness, leader of Vermilion Bird, and accepted as a disciple, and he is still the great disciple of Kaishan. Such an identity. It means that Su Zi will gain the supremacy of being under one person and above 10,000 people in Vermilion Bird. The two sisters of the Xiao family are not worthy of Su Zi at this time. Thinking of this, her eyes dimmed a bit. They have no chance to have a relationship with such an arrogance. Su Zi felt that the plump young lady-like goddess seemed to be constantly looking at herself. He looked at her strangely. Although he is handsome. But it is also impossible to fascinate a god at a glance. Ahem. Wu Qingying noticed Su Zi's gaze, saw him staring at Lu Piao, and couldn't help reminding him. Pay attention to the occasion. If you want to watch it, wait until there is no one else. Su Zi's face is black. No matter how hungry and thirsty he is, he will never attack a middle-aged woman. Okay, step back, I'm just going to accompany my disciple. After all, Wu Qingying waved her hand. The three gods nodded in agreement, and then retreated. Su Zi, I will pick you up in 3 days to take part in the Xiaoju Tianjiao battle, and you can arrange these few days. Wu Qingying didn't want to stay here too long. The adoring eyes of the people below made her very uncomfortable. After speaking, he disappeared immediately. It's really. Su Zi muttered in a low voice, and then saw the beautiful figure in the void. A smile appeared on his face immediately, and he flew towards the other party. When the people below saw Wu Qingying leave, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. That was the Lord just now, right? Did I hear correctly? That's right. I was lucky enough to meet the Lord, and I will live and die without regret. I was wondering if I said something wrong just now, and I must not leave a bad impression on the Lord. Just now the Lord said that Su Zi is his disciple. Lord's disciple. I will only call him Your Highness in the future. Your Highness Su Zi, I want to give birth to a monkey for you. Su Zi heard the sound and saw that it was a pretty girl. In the past, he would definitely go up and have a chat. But now Ruyan Lu is number one. Teacher, I'm back. Su Zi came to Lu Ruyan and smiled. Come back when you come back, it's not a big deal. What? After becoming His Highness, you still need me, a teacher, to stand up and greet him. When Lu Ruyan heard that Su Zi was the disciple of Lord Vermilion Bird. I am no longer angry. But now that there are so many people, it is not good for her to get too close to Su Zi. Waiting to go home. When there were only 2 of them left, she chatted with Su Zi all night long. 7 days no see. She has a lot to say to Suzy, and there are many things she wants to do with Suzy. Of course not. I just want to thank the teacher for giving me the defensive building, which helped me a lot. Please invite the teacher to come to my house for dinner tonight. Suzy shook his head, smiled and stared at Lu Ruyan's eyes. He just likes Lu Ruyan's upright look, it's so cute. Ahem, Your Highness Suzy, hello. Suddenly, a clear and pleasant voice came from the side, interrupting the two men and women who were eyeing each other. Suzy's eyes lit up when he heard the sound. The one who greeted him was a petite girl with a youthful and lovely appearance. The eyes are slightly raised, the eyes are smiling, the body has not yet opened, but it can be seen that it is a rare beauty embryo. Beside her is a tall, protruding, backward-looking girl with a face like peaches and plums, as cold as ice, Xiao Wanqing. Suzy recognized her. After becoming a lord, after being baptized, she became more and more cold at this time. The faces of the two women are similar. One is cold and the other is cute. One is as hot as fire, and the other is as cold as plum. It's a good sister double flower. I don't know who will get these two girls in the future, which is very enviable. His Royal Highness Suzy, do you want a wife or not? If you do, get two at once. The little girl smiled and raised two fingers towards Suzy. Suzy, what does it mean? Self-recommendation did not buy one get one free. Snapped. A crisp slap hit the back of the little girl's head. I made you laugh, Your Highness, this is my second daughter who likes to mess around, don't mind. Lu Piao pulled her little daughter and quickly apologized to Suzy. Now Suzy is His Royal Highness of their vermilion bird collar. They can't afford to be provoked. Suzy looked at the three people in front of him. The three of them stood together, like a flower competing for splendor. Lu Piao looks like a red peony, and a ripe one looks like a plump and juicy peach, but unexpectedly, it has a hint of greenness. Xiao Qingluan is more like a carnation, pink connected, warm and cheerful, with a sweet smile, the easiest to touch people's hearts, soothing people's scars, and has the power of healing. The last Xiao Wanqing is like a narcissus, white as snow, light and elegant, can be seen from a distance but not be played with. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages, and you will never tire of watching them. It's okay, I look at her very cute. Suzy smiled and didn't care. The divine woman in front of her seemed a little too nervous. Mom, if you hit me again, you'll make me look stupid, and you will never find such a good uncle again. Xiao Qingluan covered her head, crying and aggrieved. Xiao Wanqing was on the side, her cold eyes unblinking, and she nodded towards Su District. Then she pulled Xiao Qingluan and ran away quickly. She was worried that Qingluan would say something shocking to the world again. Lu Piao saluted slightly to Suzy, then left after her and disappeared in a blink of an eye. What? Which of the three do you like? Or do you like all of them? Do you want my sister to match you? Smelly brother. As soon as Lu Piao left, Lu Ruyan stood behind Suzy and whispered in Suzy's ear. The corner of Suzy's smiling mouth stiffened unconsciously, and the pain in the soft flesh around his waist made him no longer able to think about it. No way, I only have my sister in my heart. Suzy turned around, wrapped her arms around Lu Ruyan's slender waist with one hand, and held her tightly with the other light green fingers. Hey, my stinky brother is getting more and more talkative. Although Lu Ruyan was happy in her heart, it didn't show on her face. With a few strands of black hair on his forehead, he fiddled with Suzy's neck. Sister, let's go home and play again. Suzy lowered his head and asked the girl in his arms. Okay. Lu Ruyan nodded. She had long missed her younger brother. After all, the two hurried home like flying. Qingyan Plaza, unknown place. Wu Qingying looked at the direction Suzy left, hesitating to speak. This big apprentice seems to be a little different from what I expected. Sister flower, teacher, mother and daughter. Next. Wu Qingying looked up and down at herself. Overwhelming country and city, top-notch figure, proud figure, high cold temperament. Master and apprentice. No. He must not be allowed to be a rebellious disciple. Her ambition in this life is the highest, and she has no interest in such things as love and romance. But she thought about it. It seems that in Suzy's eyes, only respect, and no other thoughts. Am I thinking too much? Wu Qingying felt that her mind was a little confused and troubled. She hates these love affairs the most. It's not as comfortable as fighting with real swords and guns on the battlefield. But, Wu Qingying thought of Lu Ruyan's delicate body that was about to shatter, her brows were slightly exposed. In her eyes, that Lu Ruyan was covered with cracks. Like the territory is about to be broken. Once the territory is broken, his dear teacher is afraid that he is going to die. But it's not impossible. It depends on whether Suzy has a chance to get that equipment. Shaking his head, no longer think about it. Turn away. She needs to arrange the Xiaoju Tianjiao battle, this time the battle is unusual. Night. Suzy and Ruyan Lu ate together until late, talking and laughing. Suzy's exhaustion from the past 7 days also dissipated in the conversation with Ruyan Lu. After eating, the two hugged each other for a while. Go back to each house to prevent misfires. 11 p.m. Outside Suzy's concierge, Ruyan Lu was wearing a bathrobe just after taking a shower, biting her lips lightly. The beautiful face has turned red at this time. She held the handle of the door with one hand. It seems to be hesitating and seems to be opened. Lu Ruyan, you don't have much time anyway, why don't you take advantage of this last time to have fun? In order not to leave regrets, isn't it just a pain? Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Lu Ruyan took a deep breath, and forcefully opened the door of Suzy's room. Suzy, I am king. Lu Ruyan wanted to have a complete showdown with Suzy loudly, but he didn't finish. She saw the empty bed. Not a single person was there. Ruyan Lu. She came to deliver the head in the middle of the night, but it turned out that she was not lonely. Suddenly, the courage that had been brought up with great difficulty disappeared in the blink of an eye. Desperately ran back to the bedroom, rushed into the bed and curled up into a ball. At the same time, open black lens bracket natural collar close black lens bracket. The stars are bright and the moon is dazzling. City Lord's Mansion, Jiaxing Pavilion. Under the moonlight, the little fairy dances gracefully. There was a slight breeze blowing nearby, and the peach blossoms jumped into the attic with the wind. The wonderful figure shuttles among the shadows of the flowers, and the fallen flowers fall on the rotating feet with the fluttering skirts. With a light hand, dancing the fragrance, paving the surface in the wind. Master, do I dance well? The little goblin, Nodes, was lying on Suzy's arms, a pair of water-like smoke mooing. It's beautiful, the little fairy's dance is unparalleled in the world. Suzy looked down at the little elf's flawless face, and stroked. Then, does the master like it? The fragrance from the little fairy's mouth hit Suzy's nose and mouth, soothing like a veil. Like very much. Suzy hugged the little goblin's slender waist, nodded with fiery eyes. Wen Yan. The little goblin chuckled, stretched her jade neck to Suzy's ear, and poured out the fragrance. Master, it's late at night, it's time for us to rest. After all, the goblin buried her head in Suzy's strong chest and refused to lift it up. Go, master will take you to sleep. Suzy hugged the little fairy's willow waist with one hand, and supported her legs with the other. Pick up its princess. Fly quickly towards the bedroom. Last night, it was raining and windy, and a bright red flower bloomed among the flowers with a little dewdrops. Until the cock crows. The loud and clear cry of the nightingale slowly receded just now. 8 in the morning. Lu Ruyan came to invite Suzy to eat. People are not there. Frowning slightly, he closed the door and left. 10 o'clock in the morning. Lu Raven came to look for Suzy again, but he was not there. His fists were clenched tightly, and there was a hint of anger. 12 o'clock in the morning. Suzy knelt on a mechanical keyboard. In front of him was the menacing Lu Ruyan holding a stick. Say, what did you do? Lu Ruyan's pair of crisp breasts were ups and downs, swaying. From night to noon, there was no one at all. Suzy looked haggard. I was busy last night until early morning, and I was busy with morning exercises for 2 hours. Forgot the time, ignored Ruyan Lu, and sinned. It can only be said that the little goblin is worthy of being a goblin, and she is so good at all kinds of tricks, making Suzy linger on. Standing up, in Lu Ruyan's astonishment, he hugged her in his arms for a while and coaxed her. In the end, a series of unequal treaties were signed and various guarantees were made. Only then did Lu Ruyan's anger dissipate. 3 days. Like a white horse passing through the gap, it passes in the blink of an eye. In 3 days, Suzy played around with Ruyan Lu during the day. Suzy had no money before, so Suzy was embarrassed to spend Lu Ruyan's money. Now he doesn't lack these little money, so he is naturally having fun. Playing with Ruyan Lu during the day. Lock the doors and windows at night on 910, and fight with the goblin until dawn. The timing is clearly arranged. Although life is tight, Suzy is very happy. And every time Suzy sets the alarm clock, she will never forget the time because of excitement. But the happy time is always short. At noon on the third day, Wu Qingying arrives. Suzy stood in front of the door, looking at Lu Ruyan waving goodbye behind him, but couldn't feel happy at all. When Lu Ruyan was eating just now, he suddenly vomited blood. At the same time, cracks appeared on his body, like a piece of glass covered with traces. Just touch it lightly and it will fall apart. Asked her what happened. She just shook her head, unwilling to speak. In the end, Suzy was not allowed to serve her at home and spanked her. Seeing Suzy's resolute expression, Lu Ruyan told him the matter. Suzy never expected. On weekdays, Mr. Lu, who played with him and had a bright smile, endured the cruelty of his broken body all the time. I've said it all. My sister is fine and can last a few more years, so if you go to Xiaojudian, hurry back to accompany my sister. Why? My sister was already like this when she returned to Qinghai. It was an unexpected joy to meet your stinky brother in the last few years. My sister has no regrets. Okay, let's go. My sister is not going to die soon. Lu Ruyan smiled and gently kissed Suzy on the face. Then pushed Suzy out the door. My lord, Suzy will be entrusted to you from now on. Lu Ruyan smiled at Wu Qingying, as if she was asking for help. Wu Qingying nodded. Suzy is her apprentice, so she will naturally protect him. She wanted to say something, but finally glanced at Suzy, pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Suzy was silent, with a heavy heart, not knowing what he was thinking. In the end, he tightly embraced Lu Ruyan in his arms, felt her warmth, and whispered in his ear. Teacher, I won't let you die, you are not allowed to die. Wen Yan. Lu Ruyan smiled lightly, patted Suzy's back lightly with her jade hand twice, and shook her head. The sisters from the Xiao family are nice, very moist. In the Tianzhou battle, pay attention to safety. If possible, I can help Xiao Wanqing that girl. She has a big ass and fixes the baby. Quote. Suzy glared at her, but Lu Ruyan didn't care at all. Suzy is gone. Lu Ruyan also returned to the rented house alone. She's about to quit her job. For the last period of time, in this small but cozy rental house. Waiting for Suzy to come back. Void. Wu Qingying took Suzy to the battlefield where Xiaoju Tianzhou fought at a speed exceeding the speed of light. Don't be gloomy, it's not hopeless. Wu Qingying patted Suzy on the shoulder and said. From just now, Suzy has been sullen, as if someone owes him yuanjing. Suzy heard the words and looked at her. Wait for her to clarify. Okay, is it so difficult when you ask me? Wu Qingying curled her lips and said slowly. If you want to save your sister Ruyan, it's not difficult to say, but it's not easy to say. Since she was caused by the fragmentation of the core of the territory, it can only reshape the core of the Lord for her. Quote. Do you know what a Lord's core is made of? Lu Ruyan paused, and asked Suzy. AGDB, the origin of the world. Suzy thought about some of the knowledge that Ruyan Lu taught him before. That's right, the core of every Lord's territory is my human race's power to destroy the world in the universe. See, the universe. Only by collecting the origin of the world can we build it successfully. So you know why there are trials for newcomers, right? The purpose is to weed out some unqualified people. If you can't even pass the newbie test, it's better to be an ordinary person. And once the core of the territory is broken, it almost represents the death of the Lord. You must protect your territory. It is best not to let other people approach it except for your own people. Quote. Suzy nodded. He didn't tell Wu Qingying that the core of his territory has the nature of being indestructible. Even if it is shattered, it can return from nothingness. Your teacher Lu Ruyan, it seems that the Lord's core has been severely damaged, but it has not been completely broken. It means that there is still salvation. The best way to reshape the core of the Lord is to find a piece of the heart of the world. At that time, not only will her territory be reshaped, but the talent panel may also evolve. Heart of the world. Susie's brain searched for information carefully, but found nothing. Don't think about it, only the gods are qualified to know about this thing. The information of other people is blocked. Wu Qingying continued. The heart of the world, as its name suggests, is the core of a world, but it is very difficult to gather the heart of the world. It often breaks 100, or even 1,000 worlds, and it is possible for a piece of the heart of the world to be condensed by chance. In the cosmic sea, the heart of the world is considered the top treasure. Even the gods flock to it. Because that thing can stabilize the kingdom of God and expand the domain of God. It has too much effect. Every time it appears, it will cause a battle among the gods. As Wu Qingying said, there was also a trace of longing in her eyes. After all, the size of the domain of the gods is related to the strength of the Lord God. Although she was lucky enough to fuse one, who would think too much of that stuff? Suzy frowned. Where can he get such a rare thing? But you're lucky, kid. A race of idiots actually took out a piece of the heart of the world in order to participate in the battle of the heavens. As she spoke, Wu Qingying lowered her head and winked at Suzy. Why do you think they want to participate in the battle of the little heavens? Suzy's face was dark, and she was speechless looking at her smiling face. It's not for me, is it? Wu Qingying nodded. That's right, it's for you. You are simply the sweet potato in the eyes of countless races. Everyone wants to eat you. Then a higher god was born for its race. Quote. As long as a high god is born, what is the heart of the world? For them, this is simply a bargain. Suzy sneered upon hearing this. That's really great. I'm worried that I don't have enough resources to become a god. As the number one in this little Zhu Tianzhao competition, you will get several priceless treasures including the heart of the world. So, apprentice, you have to work hard. We are here. Finished speaking. Wu Qingying took Suzy out of the subspace and landed on a huge star square. At this time, the square was already crowded with people. The moment Wu Qingying walked out, everyone's eyes looked over. Suzy glanced around, faintly felt many hostile sights. See your majesty. Wu Qingying just appeared. The soldiers guarding the quartet and responsible for maintaining order at the scene knelt down on one knee to salute Wu Qingying. Wu Qingying nodded slightly, and walked to the main seat in front of the square, sweeping away the majesty without form on her body. Many contestant lords who were still discussing originally shut up. See your highness. After seeing Wu Qingying, all the soldiers paid homage to Suzy one after another. Suzy is Wu Qingying's only disciple, and they appropriately call him his highness. Suzy glanced over indifferently, his eyes calm as usual. Walked towards an empty seat next to Wu Qingying. Looking down at the tens of millions of lords of all shapes and sizes below. He is the only rookie lord who is qualified to sit here among the tens of millions of lords participating in the Vermilion Bird. All the seats around are gods. There was a terrible aura all over his body. This should have been mine. Crowd. Han Li looked up at Suzy, who was sitting next to the main seat, and clenched his fists. He thinks that Suzy took away the trial number one that originally belonged to him. It was also because of this that he became the disciple of Lord Vermilion Bird. It was all his fault. After entering the Endless Continent, he must try Suzy's level to see if he is worthy to be His Royal Highness led by Vermilion Bird. It's not just him, there are many geniuses among the lords below, and there are inexplicable fluctuations in their expressions. He stared at Suzy, eager to try. I want to pull Suzy off the horse and get into that position myself. They don't think they are worse than Suzy. They just couldn't exert their combat power because of the trial mode. And they are different from the trials at this time. At this time, they have already obtained the help of the family behind them. Not only did he obtain precious buildings one by one, but he also developed the territory to the 9th level. The purpose is to compete with the powerhouses of various races in the small heavens. It can be said, for this battle of Xiaoju Tianzhao, the families behind them have invested heavily. The investment in them is unprecedented. Because of this Tianzhao battle. It matters a lot. Everyone wants to gain a reputation. That's Suzy, she looks good. He's a handsome guy, even more handsome than your fiancé Han Li, isn't he? Sister Yunur. In a corner of the square. A little loli dressed in black gothic and Lolita costumes raised her palm-sized feet and shouted excitedly. Next to it, is a young girl with eyes like water, who is as beautiful as a country, with a crescent head and brows, like a flower like a jade. The girl said little, clasped her hands together, and made every move, showing that everyone is a lady. Hear the words, comma. The girl curiously looked up at Suzy that the little loli was talking about, and was slightly taken aback. I saw the boy on the high platform. Dressed in white, he was born with the air of a king over the world, sitting among the gods without any confusion. His handsome facial features are carved out of marble, with sharp lines and sharp eyes. His complexion is cold, his temperament is outstanding. People can't help but praise, what a handsome and extraordinary young man. Such a person. He is also a disciple of Lord Vermilion Bird, and his identity is unrivaled in the leader of Vermilion Bird. One's own strength is the first in the trial. Girls think Suzy is really hateful. Let all the good things in the world be taken by him. This makes other men pale in comparison with him, unable to be compared. Xiao Wanqing's eyes were clear, and she exuded an icy aura of repelling others thousands of miles away. When seeing Suzy ascend to a high position, she bit her lip lightly and clenched her fists. Heart swear, he will definitely catch up with him, or not too far behind. When Wu Qingying arrives, foreshadowing the arrival of the participating lords of Vermilion Bird. Suzy was the last rookie lord who was personally picked up by Master Vermilion Bird, and everyone was actually waiting for him. When they take their seats, an old woman in a sacrificial robe came out, holding a simple scroll in her hand. She walked up to Wu Qingying, bowed slightly to her, and then turned to face all the participating lords. The 6075th session, Vermilion Bird leading the Tianjiao contest, officially changed to Xiaoju Tianjiao contest. This hegemony competition is jointly organized by the 3,600 eastern territories of the Shengsha Empire and the 367 great races of the heavens, the purpose of which is to cultivate the arrogance and monsters of all races. This time there are 3.7 billion human race participants, and you will start a 3-month competition in the Endless Continent. The specific rules will not be described in detail here. This time may be the first time in your life, or the last time you have the chance to become a god. I hope you will seize the opportunity. At last, may you return with honor. The gods are here to congratulate you. Voice just fell. A huge vortex appeared in the sky, pulling the contestants into it. I will find you and kill you. Han Li glared at Suzy, remembering Suzy's face deeply. They will always meet in the Endless Continent. Suzy, let's see how I beat you this time. If you dare to steal my house, I will let my rabbit eat all the plants in your house. Humph. The little dark loli waved her fists, and licked her pink tongue towards Suzy. Let's go. With his reputation, it won't be long before we meet again. The girl at the side took little Lolita's hand and walked into the whirlpool. Master, I'm leaving. Suzy got up, and the surrounding gods looked over one after another. But Suzy's complexion didn't change, only Wu Qingying was in his eyes. Well, just kill me after you go in, I'll give you the bottom line. Wu Qingying said calmly. The tone was calm, but the meaning in the words made the expressions of the people below change. This sentence is for Suzy, and it is also for them. After all, they all have children and grandchildren who participated in the Tianjiao War. Thank you, Master. Suzy clasped his fist slightly and suddenly paused. Because he heard the sound transmission from Wu Qingying. Kill anyone outside at will, but we are led by Vermilion Bird, so you can help if you can. Suzy nodded slightly, then flew into the vortex and disappeared. Phew, the Tianjiao battle is very lively now, and those races who sent their seeds to participate in the competition will probably regret it to death. Wu Qingying watched Suzy leave, with a hint of ridicule flashing in her eyes. It would be a big mistake to really think of Suzy as a little sheep at his mercy. He is a ruthless beggar who dares to kill even the superior Shendu. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.